it depends. It depends what your your long-term plan is. I love what I do. I'm extremely good at it. But everything that I've done, I haven't been extremely good at. I ultimately got extremely good at it, but it depends what you want to do. That's like, when did you ever beat your wife? When did you beat your wife last? I'm not sure. I would take the one that made the most money, and I'd learn to like it. Quite simple, Yes, the lady in the back.
My name is Inez Goldberg, and I'm not asking a question directly related to my business. I asked you at the break, and I thought it was an important answer. My question was...
All my answers are important. Thank you.
I thought that was extremely important, one that I'd like everybody to hear. I asked you what made you different from your other siblings, because obviously you didn't have you for a father. What made you succeed where the others didn't?
I believe part of it was my military experience. I was a pretty big screw-up until I went in the military. I believe this country should have conscription again. I was given a lot of responsibility at a very young age. I believe that because nobody expected anything of me as a child, because I was such a big screw-up, that it was more important to me to prove everybody wrong. In my family, you were either a civil servant, school teacher, policeman, fireman, kind of thing, so you could get a pension. They give the crap about we were products of the Depression. And I go up to Bel Air Country Club, and Jerry Orman, one of my mentors, same age as my dad, who runs around with Baron Hilton, and they're products of the Depression. Jerry Orman, he started his own company, with $18 in 1936 or whatever. So, I wanted to prove, it's a very satisfying feeling for me to know that I've made more money than, since time began, than my family cumulatively by a factor of 100. It warms the cockles of my heart. It warms my groin. And the fact that no one in my family can relate. If my father were here today, standing 76 years old, retired in Palm Desert, he would say, I don't have a clue as to why Dan turned out the way he did. It certainly was in spite of me. And especially in my ethnic background, they take pride at successes. Nobody in my family takes pride, because I tell them they didn't have a goddamn thing to do with it. So don't you be sucking off my success. Did that answer your question? Any more questions? I can stay here for another 20 or 30 minutes before I have to leave to go to Los Angeles. I don't want to keep anybody if you want to get up and leave. Let's close it officially down. And for those that want to stay a little longer, I'd like to get the answers on tape. Thank you for coming, and I appreciate it. To your Quantum Leap, good luck. I would like, if you would, I'm interested in your comments. I know we've given you comment sheets. I know people don't like to fill them out. And if you don't fill them out, that's okay too. I'm okay, you're okay. Because I probably won't change anything just based on what the hell you say. But, but the doofus test, but I have made changes. Thank you very much. It's been fun. Thank you. Okay.
You are usually charged for that. I made sure you're not.
Oh, good. Good.
Right.
Okay. I bought something from him. We got a checkbook here? I bought something from him. Do we have a checkbook? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that's good. Keep working at it.
I have another 30 minutes,
Okay.
35 minutes on this tape. So just let it roll.
Yeah, I am. Okay, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay just as soon as it clears out. If you're going to leave, leave, because I'd like to start up a question and answer with the people that are going to stay over. I'll stay for a few more minutes.
Hi, Dan. My name is Dennis Towle.
Dennis?
And I have a question for you, too.
Okay.
I've got a couple. You want me to...
Yeah, well, let's wait. I like to get it on tape because I like to answer it on tape.
You gotta run to a meeting, but what's the best way to get a project submitted to you?
Through Ed.
Through Ed?
Yeah. Okay? Good.
I wish I knew.
My name is Jerry Rocabina.
Jerry?
I read about you.
Mixer wasn't such a nice started to because otherwise we could have mixed the mic together.
It's the only way to do it is
Right, but with the tester film, it was just so mushy. I just couldn't get a clean.
There I'm interested. So I was close the video, get some action, and you start to see better things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, would you please be seated? Either leave or be seated. Okay. Okay, glad you could stay. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, are we on? Okay, ma'am. Oh, where's the mic?
Mike?
Ed, do you have the mic? Right here, this lady right in the front row.
Dan, I'm Lynn Smalls from Denver, and we have 3 veterinary clinics called PetVet. My question is, there's a lot of chaos starting up in the veterinary field because of the entrance of large corporations into veterinary clinic ownership, i.e. PetSmart is putting veterinary clinics in their superstores. There's a corporation here in California coming in who's gone public with Heinz Corporation. There is a niche for small, well-run clinics who don't try to be everything to everyone. In surveying the chaos, and some of the...
By the way, my Great Dane's name is Chaos. I have a 7.5-month-old Great Dane who weighs 145 pounds, and his name is Chaos because I like to remember chaos means money. Go ahead.
My question is, in surveying the situation, I think there's going to be a lot of veterinarians who become very fearful and want to get out of their practices. Would you look at a situation from your vantage point and say this is an opportune time to buy practices, this is an opportune time to build my own practices in niches, or this is an opportune time to joint venture with owners and help them run their practices better and market together in answer to the large corporations?
Twofold answer, two-pronged. One, when there's chaos, normally there's reduction in prices, and I would look at buying practices, but I would also look at joint venturing with other veterinary practices to help them build their practice to compete in this new competitive situation. I would try to do both, and whichever turned out to be more successful, then I'd stick with it and drop the other, or at least reduce my effort in the other.
Give away, not give away, but in the joint venture situation where you go in with an existing practice, what would your expectation of ownership be in that?
Well, it's their practice?
Yes.
Are you spending any money? You doing anything?
Yeah, we'll get in there. A lot of these are pretty doggy-looking places, so we're going to clean them up, brighten them up.
You're gonna puff them up like a show dog.
That's
I
it.
understand. And is this going to cost money?
It'll cost some money. It doesn't have to be horrendous.
Well, I mean, one way of doing it is, depending on how desperate the other side is, either it's I want 75% of all increased revenue till I get my investment back, or until I get 3 times my money back, and then the deal's 50-50. That's one approach, which they will more inclinedly be more willing to do because you're not taking any of their existing business, or 25% of the existing profit going forward, working towards 50% when you've reached some benchmark, whatever the number is, 50,000, 500,000, or $1 million, whatever that benchmark is. So they have the feeling that you're working into the program. Of course, you're buying with their own money. So really, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the hell the percentage is because you're doing it with their money. At the end of the day, as long as you can pay for it out of their money, it doesn't matter. It's, it'll matter to them, but it shouldn't matter to you. Probably will matter to you because I'm working there 50 hours a week and I'm not going to let them date. I mean, it shouldn't matter. It's not your deal. It's their deal. And if they don't like it, then you just go on and offer the opportunity to somebody else. There's a lot of veterinary hospitals and clinics or whatever. So that's how I would do it.
And you see that as a better avenue than going out and opening up more in that climate?
No, there's already too many veterinary hospitals in the world. I wouldn't open up any new ones. That's just a gut feel. It's probably right. Just like I think there's too many chiropractors. And I need one all the time, but I need too many. How can they all be good? There's 8 jillion of them. I mean, every shopping center, strip mall in America has got one. Okay, the young lady here.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Cole Cummings. I'm in the field of education, and a lot with wanting to overthrow the school system. I'd like to make a lot of money.
Well, that's an interesting dichotomy, yes. Okay.
And education is usually known for its poverty consciousness. So I would like to know.
My wife's an exception to that. My wife is a trained teacher in the state of California. She has a lifetime credential or exemption, whatever you call it. And she taught for 10 years. The first 10 years I knew her. And she didn't have that poverty consciousness.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why
Okay, she was a quick learner. She married me.
Well, short of marrying the money, how would you suggest that I would make, in wanting to live my passion and wanting to really contribute and especially help young people break out, make quantum leaps in their thinking and undo what the school system is doing to them? How would you suggest some businesses to actually make some significant money?
Well, the easiest, or not the easiest, the most successful way is to go into private education, not public education. You're still in education. And ultimately found a school that becomes very famous, like in Los Angeles. There's Chadwick, which is a famous private school my kids used to go to, and there's Buckley, and all the posh schools. But write a book, get sponsorship by a big foundation, as some of the names I've thrown around, the Rockefellers. I mean, there's literally thousands of these foundations in America. You're going to have to write to a lot of them, call a lot of them, but eventually you'll find one that will fund, that you will happen to be coincidentally on the same track as they. And it's always easier to find somebody that wants to do a deal in your business than convincing some guy cold off the street, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, if they've already got a passion, if they've already got a pet peeve about it, it's a lot easier to sell them. I mean, legitimately, morally, and all that. So I would find somebody that's already interested in co-author a book, write a book, go on the Jesse Raphael tour and all that, They have talk show hosts now that are 25 years old, because now they say you need talk shows for kids, for little doofus kids. Yeah. I said, who cares what they think? I mean, unbelievable. Yes. Yes, sir. It's not on. You did something to it.
Both switches to the outside. How's that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, my name is Dennis Tout, and I'm here from Oregon. My wife and I own a couple of small businesses. One's a mortgage company, and another one is a franchise with PR Business Brokers. The question, a couple of them. First of all, I really believe in your philosophy about saying things like they are and speaking your mind. However, I oftentimes come across a little bit too hard, and there's a real fine line between saying what you believe and being rude. And
I've crossed over that line on a few
right.
occasions.
I have a lot of people that respect me business-wise. I have a lot of good clients, but I've also turned off a lot of people by crossing over that line. You answered part of the question by what just your last statement. You just cross that off and forget about it, or
Move on smartly.
Move on.
Keep moving.
keep moving. Well,
Throw away those prospect cards.
Okay, all right. Let's go on to the next one. What about if you have a business in which you've been very successful and you've made a lot of money, but you could make more if you had to deal with a group of people for a long period of time, not just a one-time thing, but for a long period of time in which you do not like and have no respect for, but it's going to end up prospering your business and making a great deal more money for you. How do you handle that situation?
Okay, that's a lot easier than you think. As long as you're not, this is just one man's opinion, as long as you are not infringing upon your own personal integrity, I see no reason, there's no problem with it. Now, if you're building a long-term relationship, you're going to be in bed the rest of your life, I'd be slightly suspect of it. But if you're using it as a building block to get to the next level, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, as long as you're not doing anything immoral, and all you're doing is sucking up your own personal pantyhose, when Great Western Resources calls me in to do some consulting with a new CEO, a company that, and the shareholders helped to oust me a while back, I'm still the largest single shareholder. It's in my best interest that Great Western survive and succeed in a big way. And many of you in this room, some of which have already left, couldn't go back to Great Western Resources and walk through those doors and walk on that marble and walk down the big, ivy-covered walls because of that. A great example is when people get a divorce. I mean, my mother talks about the divorce like it was this morning. They got divorced August of 1967. It depends how you pay price to action. As long as you're not doing anything wrong, I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, if you're doing something wrong, then I have a lot wrong with it. Okay, and I'm not saying that you go to bed with the president of Haiti, or the bad president, the one they just kicked out, whatever, General what's his face, whatever, and so I don't have as big a problem with that. But it depends how it fits into the big scheme, the big picture. Is it a stepping stone? If it's not, and if it's just a pure to make money off of the backs of somebody that you despise, and it's just for that buck, then the answer is no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's not my style. I could have made a lot more money than I did if I'd done stuff like that, but that's not my style. There is a pay price to action of things I will not do for money. There's a whole bunch of it. I'll do a lot more than anybody in this audience. But I mean, there's certain things I won't do. And and that's one of them. I mean, because like my mother used to say, you go to bed with dogs, you get up with fleas. She was referring to the women I went out with. And and that rubs off on you. Bad people rub off on you just as good people do. So I hope I answered your question.
Well, you did in a way. It's not that I would be dealing with bad people or anything like that. It's just dealing with a group of people that perhaps perhaps have a bigger ego than mine, and we just clash.
Well, then I changed my answer to absolutely you should do business with them.
So just suck up.
Yeah, suck it up. Suck up your pantyhose.
Okay.
Yeah. Why do they keep turning it off? Why don't you just leave it? Okay. Doofus. Is this part of the doofus desk? You just hand the mic, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's all you got to do. Oh, let's go.
And batteries are expensive.
That's the wrong answer to give in this place. Jesus.
It was tongue-in-cheek.
Okay.
Really.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a gut feeling that you have a tremendous gut feeling of how to pair money with where you're at in this continuum process. In other words, how much to expect with where you're at. It's like you get to a point, you've generated so much excitement or so much activity or so much production or what have you, and then you go for the juggler. And I think that's a very fine point here that would be nice to stress, but I don't know how you could react to that. I'm thinking about some of the things you said. Does anything?
I go for the jugular right away. I don't screw around. And if I've led you to believe any different, I mean, I must have done something wrong today. No, I mean, I let people know where I'm coming from the get-go, the first microsecond that they meet me. I don't piss around.
Well, I guess I said it wrong then, because I'm thinking about in terms of when you work your way to like syndication. I guess it's the value of what you've done that you're building.
Correct.
To a point that you can get to that point.
Well, no, it's forever growing. If the growth process is what you're interested in, quantum growing, ladies and gentlemen, is a never-ending process, because you will take, you'll have troughs and peaks forever, your whole life. I don't care what you do, where you do it, no matter how successful you are, you will have troughs and peaks for the rest of your life as long as you're out there amongst them. You'll have batting streaks where you hit 4 or 5 home runs, and you'll have streaks where you don't get a hit. This is life. This is, as I said, business isn't static. It's forever changing. It changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. As we speak today, the business environment in this country is changing. So, I mean, it's not that one to go for the jugular. Every deal is the jugular. Every deal's got a jugular vein. And every big deal, I squeeze on it. And sometimes I have to squeeze so they lose consciousness because there's no oxygen to their brain. Sometimes I got to choke them to death. Sometimes I got to cut their head off. Sometimes all I've got to do is shake hands. Sometimes all I have to do is give them some praise. Sometimes I got to kick them in the ass. I mean, it's static. I mean, it's forever. Look at Rick Scott. They told him that these last several billion-dollar acquisitions that he's made, it would take him years to assimilate all these companies. He just keeps making $4 or $5 billion acquisition on top of $4 or $5 billion. He doesn't care what all the management guys say. He doesn't give a damn. You just continue to do it. It's a never-ending process, because some of the deals you're going to do, they're going to lose. Except for like Taylor or Don over there, he doesn't do the deals, so you can't hardly lose if you don't do the deals.
Just a real quick follow-up. Something just occurred to me. It seems like through your investigation, you also realize a lot of the tools that are able to be used as you need them, and then you put them in place when you feel they're appropriate.
Sure. That's experience. That's 50,000 plus business decisions. The only way you get that experience, ladies and gentlemen, is to make decisions. Most people that attend these seminars are afraid to make decisions. Most people, when they leave the seminar, are still afraid to make decisions. That's life. Only a few of you will I have touched today. And it's not necessarily the ones that are still here. That doesn't mean spit. That is life. And I got used to that a long time ago. I got used to it the first year I taught college. And I was so disappointed that we went from 413 students down to one, and I had one superstar. John Macias, happens to be a Latino kid. I mean, when he came to my class, he stuttered, couldn't talk. He wore a tie to class. You don't wear a tie to school at Cal State Northridge in 1992. You don't do that. He took more crap from more students, calling them all kinds of awful names. He just won. Kodak sponsors in all the business schools a deal, a marketing contest. He just won it. He was one of the top 5 finalists. Kodak offered him a job instantly on the spot. He just came to the castle here and he met the Mosbys. And when he showed up, he's hitchhiking across Europe in a suit. You know how many cars stopped to pick him up? All of them. You damn right. And he's a good-looking guy. Women are skidding on the brakes. I mean, that guy's having the sexual fantasy of his life. And he showed up to the castle, and we're having a meeting. The last day I was there of the board meeting, and the Mosbys, and he shows up in a suit, and they know he's hitchhiking across Europe. And these kids, and the Mosbys are, you know, real sharp guys. Where did you find this guy? And I mean, he's very articulate. He got up and made a little talk to my board members, and he's very articulate. And he stuttered 13 months before this. Couldn't talk. But he was the only student that was worth a crap. All the other 412 weren't worthless as tits on a boar. I mean, blow him to hell. Give him a gun. Jump in front of a bus. So I'm really down on Youth of America. This is an experiment, the Magnificent Seven over here. Because I think the Youth of America, we're lucky communism failed, ladies and gentlemen. Because they'd eat our lunch. They'd roll over us like a goddamn tank. Because we've gotten soft. That passion that we had in this country 200 years ago has gone down the toilet. So this is my experiment. I'll be writing about the Magnificent Seven. Either they're all doofuses or they turn out to be worth a shit. We'll see. We'll see. But, I mean, one more question and then we're going to go. It's time. Okay. One of the Magnificent Seven. Tell them who you are. They turned it off again. Oh, it's on. It's on. No?
I shut it off.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Ed Barrios, and I'm one of who I consider the fortunate seven, not the magnificent. Dan, I was gonna thank you after your seminar for the advice you gave us on September 15th. But I thought if I thanked you now and the rest of the audience could hear it, maybe they could do what I did after I left your house September 15th.
Okay.
On September 15th, Dan challenged us. He didn't say be the best you can be, but in those words, I believe that's what his ultimate goal was. I have a label business. I manufacture labels for garments. When I left Dan's house, before I even went to Dan's house, I do several labels for Disney. But I was contemplating, before I even met Dan, to approach Disney to get a bigger contract. There's a lot of other label companies 4 times as big as mine that are handling the Disney contracts. So I was lacking confidence to go out there and approach them for more business. I was kind of saying, well, I should be satisfied with the amount of business that I have. What Dan said was, in any given situation, before you even get into that situation, you determine the outcome. I remembered that on the 15th. I went home and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke my wife up. We spoke till 4:30 in the morning. She was amazed. She was like, wow, this guy must be awesome. But to make a long story short...
She was right.
To make a long story short, I got the meeting with Disney. Before I even went to see them, I said in my mind, I'm going to get X amount of business. When I reached the meeting, I demanded the business. I was still timid inside. The lady didn't know that. And to my disbelief, she responded accordingly. Everything I asked for, she gave me. I'm going to be receiving the contract in November. So, the buzz is for that. My suggestion to all of us here whether you have a business, just do that. Look at whatever situation you're going to be in tomorrow and predetermine what the outcome is going to be, or what the outcome you want to be. And I guarantee you, you can predetermine that outcome. And then you'll be a true believer into this program. And you'll be able to follow these concepts with no problem.
In closing, in my closing remarks, some of you saw me at Abraham's seminar, and well, before I went to the Abraham seminar, I decided that I was going to be offered a joint venture partnership with J. Abraham, who was considered the great marketing guru of the world at that time, and that I was going to get up and be asked back to the podium, the dais, and I was going to control the audience like in the palm of my hand. For those of you that were there, I never knew J. Abraham from a hot rock. I didn't know one person that was at that seminar. Nobody. And exactly what I determined was going to happen, happened. And for those of you that were there, you saw that. I had predetermined what was going to happen. And I maneuvered myself and Jay and the whole 550 people like it was nothing. It works. You know, the greatest salesman in closing that ever lived, Muhammad, Jesus, Adolf Hitler, and a couple others, you know, they sold concepts that were bigger than life. Unfortunately, not everybody that sells concepts bigger than life is a good man, unfortunately. And everybody you're going to deal with in business isn't going to be a good person. And every idea that you bring to the table isn't going to work. But if you don't act with the same conviction as you know it's going to work, and if you don't act with enthusiasm, by God, I can almost guarantee you it won't work. And even though, like he said, he was timid inside, he went ahead and did it. And the things that Burl's done, and all these other people, if you want it. And if you don't, God bless you. To your quantum leap, it's been a pleasure. Drive safely, travel safely. Thank you very much.